Hi there, I'm Jamie Taylor. Welcome to Your Health Matters, brought to you by Kingman Regional Medical Center, your community-owned hospital. This program focuses on healthcare issues relevant to you and your family, or on programs and services available here at KRMC. I've got a great guest on my show today, so stay tuned. We'll be back right after these messages. Welcome back to Your Health Matters. My guest today is Leana Asplin, Manager of Volunteer Services here at KRMC. Thanks for being on the show, Leana.
Thanks for having me.
So volunteers have been a crucial part of KRMC for many years. We'll talk about how many years later, but and you have that fun job of getting to coordinate them all, and have seen a lot of growth with that program too.
A lot, yeah.
So now, share with us first, though, how long have you been at KRMC?
I started here in 1995. This is my 17th year of service with the hospital.
So you've seen a lot of growth and changes.
A lot of changes, a lot of changes. At one time we only had 300 employees. We have almost that many volunteers now.
Oh my goodness, that's amazing. Because then do you know how many beds we had back then?
Oh goodness, 70 maybe,
Okay,
somewhere in that, if I remember right.
So I think that sounds about right. So pretty small. Now, have you been in Kingman for a long time too?
I have. I've been in Kingman since 1979.
Oh boy, talk about changes.
Oh yes, oh yeah. Stockton Hill used to go from the cemetery to the hospital.
Wow, I've heard that, and that it was dirt past that, and
Yes.
people used to still ride their horses up and tie them off at the Circle K. And
That one I don't remember.
And someone was telling me about that not too long ago. They used to ride their horses up to Circle K and tie them off at the hitching post. I'm like, really?
That's crazy.
Yeah. Well, and I know, of course, when we first built KRMC out here, it was out in the middle of nowhere. That's what
Right.
everybody thought.
Right.
Because that was even before the freeway came in
I
they
remember when
did that.
I-40 came through
Wow.
and very nicely went right past the hospital.
Yeah, that was very convenient for us.
Very
Good
nice
thing,
of
good
them,
planning.
yes.
So volunteers, you mentioned just a minute ago that we're up to almost 300 volunteers now.
Yes.
So they obviously don't all work at the information desk or in the gift shop. What do they do?
And that 300 includes our adult volunteer program, our volunteer chaplains,
Oh, okay.
our high school student program, the Volunteens, as well as the hospice volunteers.
great.
So that number includes all of those.
So there's lots of different ways that people can be involved and be a
Absolutely.
volunteer.
We've got volunteers in almost every department of the hospital anymore, from yes, the traditional information desks and gift shop, to now driving our courtesy cart. We have them in the cancer center, the wellness center, the emergency room. Outpatient surgery is a great area. We also have them in nutrition services with our coffee cart. So anything that might be of interest to somebody, we could place them.
Probably find a role that they would fit.
Exactly.
Yeah. And
exactly.
I know that the departments, of course, as we keep growing and adding more services, are always looking for help as well.
Absolutely. Some support.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we'll talk now, but again later, if anybody's interested in becoming a volunteer, what do they need to do?
It is an application process.
Okay.
It's just like starting a job at KRMC. It's just an unpaid job.
Okay.
So there are applications available for them in the gift shop.
Okay.
They can also get that application online. However, there is other paperwork that we do ask them to complete,
Okay.
so they'll need to stop by the gift shop.
So that's probably the easiest, is just come to the main
Yes.
lobby of the hospital, go into the gift shop and ask for the volunteer application. and
Exactly.
fill that out and get it back to you, and then you'll call them and set up an interview type of thing?
Right. Right.
Okay. We talked about the gift shop, and I know that the volunteers also have a couple of other fundraising projects throughout the year.
Right.
So what do they do with all that money that they make?
We, as everyone knows, KRMC is a not-for-profit organization,
Right.
and the volunteer program is also a not-for-profit, although we're a very profiting little group. We do run a very successful gift shop. We have several vendor sales a year. We also get some profits from our vending machines and other places that I can tap money from. And what we do with that is we reinvest back into the hospital as well. And we do that by, number one, we purchase equipment for departments. Once a year, departments can request capital equipment, $5,000 or more equipment that benefits our patients.
Okay.
And we're able to purchase equipment for them. We also sponsor college students pursuing careers in healthcare.
Oh, great.
This past year, we put $75,000 back back into the facility through equipment and scholarships.
Wow, that's awesome. So and those are kind of special equipment needs maybe that didn't get approved for the budget, or
Right, or something maybe slipped through the cracks, or something they thought of after
budget time.
after budget time, so we're able to help with those.
Great.
We do vote on those as a group. We want to make sure that those requests are really something that benefits our patients.
Right, absolutely. Well, and I know that the volunteers, you're always working on trying to help keep them a cohesive group. Kind of, you have your monthly meetings that you get
Yes.
together, and they have education that teaches them about wheelchair protocols and
Right.
how to answer questions and all that type of thing. So that's a good, so someone doesn't need to come in knowing everything about
Oh,
what they're going
no.
to do. There's
Oh,
lots
no.
of training involved.
Yeah, there's always that learning curve, and
Right.
we make sure that new volunteer feels comfortable before we let them loose.
Okay, good. So, and they kind of shadow someone maybe for a
Always.
while. Okay,
Always,
so that's
yeah.
again good for someone to know if they. Well, I've never done anything like that. I don't
Well,
know.
it's important to know that we have some great leadership
Right.
among our group, and those leaders are the ones that do the training, and they do a great job. And like I said, we don't let anybody loose until they feel comfortable.
Well, I know you've got some awesome ladies that have been involved in the volunteers for a long time, like
Yes.
Sandra Kofer.
Right.
Her mother was part of the original group, right? Or early on?
Early on, she had
Yeah.
had 30 years of service with
Wow.
us.
When she
So-
retired, that's Maxine.
Maxine
That's
Klein, who ran our gift shop for
Right.
30 years.
Wow. So
Yeah.
so let's go back in history, because I think you're coming up on 50 years now, right?
Yes, quite a milestone.
That's amazing.
1962 is when 17 local ladies got together and created the Mojave General
Oh, 'cause
Pink
at that
Ladies.
time it was the general hospital, or the county hospital still.
Exactly.
Okay.
That was founded by Helen Graves.
Okay.
And she had 16 ladies that they all got together
Wow.
and incorporated their group, their auxiliary group of Pink Ladies.
Oh.
So that was our beginning, and 50 years later, 2012, we're going to celebrate a golden anniversary this
Wow.
year.
Wonderful. And to think they grew from 17 to 300.
Yeah, crazy.
That's amazing.
Right, right.
Well, and you talked about, too, that the chaplains are part of the program. So
Right.
what do the chaplains do? Are they on call?
We have a couple different things with our chaplaincy program. We have a group that are on call. What that entails of is that they are on call for 7 days in a row. They see patients as needed. It's a 24-hour call that week that they're on call. There are local pastors that do an outstanding job of patient support. The other part of that is we have some spiritual leaders that are also go through the process of hiring and badging, and they're able to come in and see a patient census for their denomination and go do patient visits.
Okay.
Those are not on call.
Okay, they just can come in as part of their probably normal duties as the leader of their church or
Exactly.
whatever. Okay.
Exactly.
But then the on-call are there for available for families in crisis,
Right,
need some extra
right.
Comfort, things
Exactly,
like that, then they can
exactly.
be called and come in. Okay, well that's
Yeah.
good to know. And then we mentioned volunteers.
Right.
So
right.
that's a fun group too. Now I have
It
to
really is.
have to share with our audience that, you know, I started as a candy striper a couple years ago, and we had pink and white striped uniforms
You
back
bet.
in Minneapolis in
Yeah.
those days.
Pinafores.
Right, they
Yes.
were cute little pinafores. I had to wear a white blouse underneath. That was
Mm-hmm.
that whole cute little outfit, and that was all I had for healthcare until I came to work at KRMC. So
Yeah.
Our
Well, and
volunteers.
you know, keep in mind now, we're no longer pink ladies,
Right.
and we're no longer candy stripers, because there's not a whole lot of men that are willing to wear the pink uniform.
Yeah,
And
even though we do that tough enough to wear pink at the rodeo, it's still, there's
Exactly,
a lot of guys that aren't
exactly.
comfortable with pink. So I understand.
so that's why we have our volunteers now wearing blue, and our
Okay.
volunteens, which incorporates our young men who are also interested in healthcare. And we find that we have probably close to half men in our volunteer and volunteen programs.
Great,
So,
very
which is,
good.
it's wonderful. The students, though, they're allowed to come in twice a year. I have a fall program and a summer program where
Okay.
they go through application process, orientation, and badging, and those kids are everywhere throughout the hospital campus. They have to be 14 years old and at least registered in high school to start high school. and it's a great program. We've had some awesome success stories with our students. We now have one of my students from many years ago who was a volunteer who participated for, I believe, like 150 hours one summer, went to nursing school at the U of A, and is now back working at KRMC. She is an RN in our emergency room now. So I consider that one of our great success stories.
Very good. And that's kind of what we're doing with these kids at that age, is helping them figure out if this is maybe something they're interested in, pursuing that career in health. I think some of the schools still have community service, the academy,
yes.
So they can, that meets that qualification for them as well. And like I said, it gives them some guidance and helps them, because there's, like you said, all areas of the hospital.
And that's the glory of being at KRMC, is that you don't have to be interested in healthcare to come and do your volunteer work.
We have a volunteer in the PR department that's
Absolutely.
doing graphic artwork. So
yes, and isn't she cute?
Oh, she's a doll. I love her. And a big help for Warren, so that's super. Now, volunteers, how do they, I know you twice a year, you have training for them, so it's not like a regular volunteer could come in anytime to sign up, but volunteers at spring and fall. So do they still come to the gift shop to get an application?
Yes, gift shops are available in the applications are available in the gift shop. The other thing is I do work with the guidance counselors and the allied health instructor at Kingman High School. So they also have applications available for their students. I make sure that they have some if they need them.
Now, so do we have one coming up in the not too distant future?
Yeah, it's going to be, I don't have the exact date, but it's in mid-June. So the students need to start getting their applications in for the summer program. And
super. Yeah, it's better too soon than
absolutely, because we typically for the summer we get quite a large group, and
it's a good way to keep them busy in the summer too.
Yes, absolutely, and we can use and abuse them while they're
there you go. There you go. Okay, and then let's see. So we talked about the chaplain program, the volunteers, and then hospice. I know Cindy Votter has been on the show in the past and has talked about the hospice volunteers and opportunities there. And then I think you've got a new group too, don't you? The pet therapy group. Well, it's not new. They've been here for a while.
They've been here for a while. They've kind of fell off the radar for a while, and we're rebuilding the program, and I'm real excited. We currently have 2 adorable little critters, little dogs in the program, and we have 3 dogs actually going through some training and the certification process. So hoping that we have those on board within the next couple of months and continue to grow that program. It's an outstanding program, provides an awful lot of comfort and care to our patients. Even those patients who are not pet lovers love a dog visit.
There is something about warm, cuddly.
Yes, and most of the pets we have in the program now are little lap dogs. But we are in the process of training a chocolate lab.
Oh, wonderful.
And I'm just excited about that one too.
Well, we'll talk more about that right after. We're going to take a break for a few quick messages, and then we can talk more. So stay tuned. We'll be back right after these messages. Welcome back to Your Health Matters. My guest today is Leana Asplin, and we're talking about volunteer services here at Kingman Regional Medical Center. Thanks again for being on the show. Every time I have a guest on the program, I learn something new. So we were talking before the break about pet therapy, and you're saying you've got a chocolate lab coming through training. That's pretty cool.
It is exciting.
So are there opportunities for people that if they think they have a dog, I mean, obviously there's kind of special requirements.
There are.
Not every high-strung, I know I've got a dog that there's no way I would let her in the hospital. She's a sweetheart, but you know, she'd be in everybody's lap and knocking things over. So they need a calm temperament.
Absolutely. And we have a wonderful volunteer who does that certification process. Test the dog, test the trainer, make sure that they can control their critters well. It's a little rigorous training, but it's great. She brings them into the hospital. They test the dog to see if they do well on the tile floor, riding the elevators.
Oh yeah, I didn't think about elevators.
Right, right. If they do well in stairwells in case the elevators are down. So yeah, they do some extra training inside the hospital.
And there's, I know if people are thinking, oh, dogs, germs, but they have requirements there too, right? They have to be bathed.
Oh,
and groomed
absolutely. They have to be
before they come to the
They
hospital.
do. The day of their visit.
Right,
So,
right, the day of the visit. And then
Right.
they, between patients, they make sure, or they wipe hands down. We use
Yeah.
antiseptic and all of that.
They use the hand sanitizers. They also
Okay.
carry hand sanitizers on them so they can offer them to the people who pet their
Okay.
pets.
Uh-huh.
So, yeah, it's quite an interesting process,
Right.
but it's again such a great process. And again, you know, the hand washing part of it, making sure that we protect the patient as well as the trainer and the dogs.
And the dogs too, yeah.
Yeah.
So we don't want them to get germs either.
Exactly, exactly.
And like you said, I mean, for someone who is a dog lover or maybe has a pet back home, then they're separated. So
Yes,
it's nice to
yeah.
get that. And then even if they're not a big dog fan, there's just something about, kind of like Santa Claus, you know?
Yes,
Everybody-
it's that little warm nose, you
Yes.
know, that warm, wet nose. But yeah, it's definitely a comfort thing. And we get a lot of requests for patients who are in the hospital for a long period of time and are separated from their own critters. And, you know, it is difficult because there's such a bond.
Right. So again, if they have questions, we haven't really talked about that. There's a phone, they can call you.
Absolutely.
If any of our audience has questions about the volunteer
Right.
program, and that's 692-4673, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the same for both the volunteers and the pet therapy and
Right.
all of that. And then I know another aspect we haven't touched on is job shadowing.
Yes, yeah.
That's another opportunity for people who are, now those are usually already in medical education
Most often,
program, right?
yeah, most often they're already enrolled in a college program, pursuing a healthcare career, and would like some observation of
Okay.
what the job's going to entail. Some of the college programs are actually requiring job shadowing. So many people get out of school because they think that's what they want to do, and
Then they
a
go
lot of
and
time
see
and
it.
money is wasted and realize that's really not for them. So
Right.
we're seeing a bigger influx of people that are interested in just observing to see if that's something that they want to do. We do have a few that come in prior to enrolling in programs, but the majority are already in programs.
But that certainly makes sense. I mean, education is not cheap.
It isn't cheap
anymore,
and it's
and
getting
s-
more and more expensive all the
right,
time.
so you
It's also
do
getting
wanna-
harder to get into programs because more and more people are interested in healthcare careers, and so when you're vying for a college position, when they open up a class, there's only so many places for students in those classes. They might have 100 applications for 30 openings.
Wow.
So by showing that they've done some observation hours, shows that interest,
That makes
they're more
sense.
likely to get
Get to
one
the
of those
top
30
top of the
positions.
list. Oh, that makes a lot of sense. So again, and that's, I know we've had people in radiology, physical therapy.
Right, right. I have a couple students right now in speech therapy that are observing. Physical therapy seems to be a big one. Phlebotomy.
Oh.
And we're kind of tossing around the idea of like pharmacy tech
Oh, okay.
observation
Right,
hours. So
okay. Those
kind of
are all
opening
good
that up
things.
into other areas.
Right. So and we pretty much don't automatically say no. So if someone has a need they're looking at, then they could call you.
Absolutely.
And then you might be able to see if there's an opportunity
Right,
for them to do
right.
that here at KRMC.
Yeah. And then I work with those department managers to make sure they can accommodate them. We do ask the students to commit to a minimum of 12 hours of observation, just because of the time and the cost of us
Sure.
processing them, and we want
Right,
to make
because
sure
they
that
do have to go through the regular
they do.
volunteer process of
They do.
background check and all of that,
Right.
the drug tests and
Badging, TB skin testing.
right. And it's, you know, want to reiterate for people watching as well that the volunteers do go through the very same stringent background checks, the drug testing, and they have what's the word when it's not random drug
Yes.
tests that they have to do, just like employees do at
Yes, they-
KRMC.
yeah.
So
Again, they're just unpaid
yeah,
staff.
which makes them even more special to us.
Yes.
Because
yes.
they fill a lot of those special gaps that we can't get employees in for. So
Right.
that's
And they're
really
great
good.
support to our staff.
Oh, they are.
Great
They're
support.
wonderful in our community as well. Now, so 50 years, we talked about that at the beginning of the show. But so let's go back to that for a minute, because I know every April, right, is when we celebrate kind of volunteer week.
April is actually National Healthcare Volunteer Week.
Oh, okay.
It's typically 1 week mid-April
Okay.
every year. So gives us the opportunity to celebrate them and provide some fun and gifts and celebration to them.
Good.
And this year being our 50th anniversary, we're really going to highlight that 50 years of service
That's
to
awesome.
Kingman Regional and our community.
Right, right. Yeah, because it helps. They've helped with the growth of KRMC. And
Absolutely.
Right. So all these new services and programs we're able to offer really have come about in part because of the help we've gotten from our volunteers.
yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and I know we talked about them buying equipment, but they've bought some stuff for themselves too. Like we have a brand new courtesy card.
We do.
Thanks to their own donations
do.
that they did.
Right.
And Mother Road, Harley Davidson, right, helped hook us up.
Very wonderful to work with.
Right. And
Yes.
it's a nice, bright red, shiny Ranger. So
Yes. A new toy. Yes. Sometimes the older these boys get, the bigger their toys, are.
yes,
And red
yes,
was a good choice.
So we hopefully can see that
Yeah.
in the parking lot, not miss it.
Yes.
And it sits up good. So that's good. And they use that that's the cart drivers is another position
our
we
courtesy
have.
cart drivers, and that's a busy job. They run all over campus. Now we've got the opportunity to run a little bit off campus now that we have a street-worthy
legal.
vehicle. But they transport patients and visitors from our parking lots to the main hospital. They run lab samples from building to building, x-rays, pharmaceuticals to the cancer center. And they carry a cell phone and they're on call for their 5-hour shift. And
Very
that's
good.
a busy one.
Yeah. Now, that's another thing we didn't really talk about, the hours that the volunteers work.
Yes.
It's normally, so if someone's interested in becoming a volunteer, it's not like a full-time job.
It isn't, and most volunteers work between 4 or 5 hours a week.
Okay.
One shift. I have volunteers that'll work a couple shifts, and I have a couple crazy ones that do work 5 days a week. They just don't want to go home. They just love it here.
They love what they're doing, so
yeah.
that's good. But so that's good for people to know too, is
Yeah.
that they don't have to commit to 40 hours a week or even
Definitely
20 hours a
not.
week. It's 4 to 5
Definitely
hours.
not.
And
Most volunteers are retired. They're here to have some fun. So
Right.
it's,
but
like I
still
said,
stay active. So
and
that's
stay
good.
active, stay involved in the community. Plus, it's a great way for them to network and make friends. And
Good.
yeah.
Right. Well, and then I almost forgot we were going to talk about blood drives, because that's
Yes.
another important thing that our
It is.
volunteers do.
Yeah, our volunteers do coordinate our quarterly blood drives. United Blood Services is our blood bank. They are also the blood suppliers for Mojave County. So they come each quarter, and our volunteers help with the registration of those donors. They help make sure they get their cookies and their juices. So they're a great part of that coordination. They get the posters and information out to all the
publicize them.
all of that. So yeah, they do a great
That's a
job.
big part of that. And there's a new way now. People can actually make a reservation.
Yes,
when
we
they
do.
wanna
In fact, we do ask that they and encourage that they get their appointments done.
Okay.
And they can do that by getting on the United Blood Services website at www.unitedbloodservices.org.
Okay.
And they can make their donation or make their appointment for their donation. There is a passcode required, and it's just KRMC.
Oh, that's an easy password.
That's an
to
easy
remember.
one, and you can make your appointment, which should streamline your visit because it was getting pretty crazy.
Right, when you're just
Yeah.
doing walk-ins only, and then you
Right.
could show up and have 20 people in line in front
And
of you.
have an hour wait, and then
Right.
an hour for your donation. Could be a
it
little.
could take a little longer, more
Yeah,
time-consuming
exactly.
than people want.
Yes.
So, but they're usually here for 2 days.
2 days.
So-
It's typically a Wednesday, Thursday, and the
Okay.
next drive is June 1st and 2nd.
Oh, so that's just, well,
I
a little
am-
ways away. but-
That'll be here before we
yeah,
know it.
I know. I was going to say, it's right around the corner, really, the way time goes so fast nowadays.
Yeah, guess what? March is almost over.
I know, it's crazy. So then blood pressure checks, I think, was another
Right,
thing we'd
right.
mentioned. That
We now have a weekly blood
blood
pressure
yeah.
clinic.
Okay.
We have a volunteer that sets up a little table in the main lobby
Okay.
and does blood pressures. It's a baseline. It's just for information, and if there's any concerns, the volunteer just requests that you contact your physician.
Right.
But
So there's a lot here. We've covered a lot of territory. Most important thing, if people are interested in being a volunteer, they can call 692-4673.
Yep.
Thanks for being on the show, Leana. I hope you enjoyed our program, and join us next week. I'll have another great guest on the show for you.